How much care and compassion do you give a family member or a close friend? Now ask yourself whether you give that same amount of care and compassion to yourself. As women, we frequently put everyone else first other than ourselves, our children, our family, our colleagues, our friends, our bosses. We look after others, we tell them not to worry, we care for them in their times of need, we're compassionate and supportive of them when they're going through a rough time or they've failed at something. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't look after us. I want you to ask yourself how you act towards yourself when you're having a difficult time, when you've failed at something, or when you've noticed something that you don't like about yourself or your situation. And then ask yourself whether that would be the same response that you would give a friend or a family member. And I can guarantee it's not. We are compassionate towards others, but when it comes to self-compassion, we are hopeless at it. Now, self-compassion is all about acting the same way you would towards yourself as you would to others. So when someone else, a friend or a family member, is going through a difficult time, you're there for them, you provide them with support and care. It's about doing the same thing for yourself when you're going through a hard time, when you're struggling with something, when you feel like you failed at something, or when you don't like something about yourself, or you notice something that you're not quite happy with about yourself. Now, this comes back to our continuum of health and well-being. We talked about this in a number of videos earlier on this year, but I want you to think about your health and well-being as a continuum, a big line. In the center is where we want to aim for. That is your optimal health. That is your health and well-being based on what feels right for you in your body, your ideal weight, your ideal amount of fitness or level of fitness, and everything feels easy. You are doing health, you are being healthy, you're being fit and active, and it's doing it with ease and with flow. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is where a lot of us start off when we're starting on our journeys through our health and our well-being, and that is you're in a slump. You feel like crap, you feel bloated, uncomfortable, you're eating all the wrong things, you're eating too much of the wrong things, and you've got absolutely no motivation to go and do any form of exercise whatsoever. Now here, I can guarantee that you are hating on yourself. You're telling yourself all these horrible things, and we talked about mean girl stories in a previous video last week. And it's all about, you beat yourself up. You're telling yourself that you hate the way you look. You hate that you don't do exercise. You're lazy, you're fat, you feel uncomfortable. And this is the stuff that we're telling ourselves. And instead of going from here and starting to change the way we talk to ourselves up here, trying to change our self-compassion or demonstrating self-compassion towards ourselves, we throw ourselves to the other end of the spectrum, and that is to chuck ourselves into a giant big type of challenge or crazy ass diet. And what we've done is we've come from one end of the spectrum where we're hating on ourselves, where we are not self-compassionate, where we are coming from a place of anger and frustration and negativity about ourselves, and we're throwing ourselves straight into a health and well-being challenge without changing the way we're talking, without demonstrating any self-compassion. Now, how do you think that's going to end up? You might, because it's a well-run challenge, lose a couple of kilos. You might, because you've got a lot of accountability around you, do what you need to do, but it's not going to last because you are coming from a place of anger, of resentment towards yourself. So ask yourself, are you throwing yourself into a challenge? Are you trying to change your eating habits? Are you trying to change the way you're exercising because you're unhappy with yourself? Because you think you're worthless? Because you think you're unacceptable? Ask yourself, be honest with yourself, is that where you're coming from? Because that is not self-compassion, and that is not going to get you results. It's not going to create this ease and flow with your health and well-being that we're all ultimately after. If you are making changes to your health and your well-being, your diets, or your food, your fitness, and that is because you love yourself, you care for yourself, because you want to be more healthy and more happy, you are coming from a place of self-compassion, and you are destined to be able to maintain those results, or destined to be able to continue along this journey and not throw in the towel at the first roadblock. And look, perhaps the most important reason that we need to start demonstrating or start practicing self-compassion is that you are going to come up against roadblocks. And we need to honor our humanness. We need to honor our quirks, our flaws. No one is perfect. And if we come from a place of self-compassion, if we are caring and considerate towards ourselves when these roadblocks, and they will be there, when these roadblocks come up, when these big giant stop signs happen in the middle of your road towards feeling better or changing the way you approach food and fitness, when they come up, you are able to manage them. You're able to be compassionate with yourself and say, that's okay. I didn't do very well at that, or I mightn't have done as well as I thought I would, but that is okay. I will change it and I will try a different way. I'm not perfect. Whereas if you're not compassionate with yourself and you come against a roadblock, what is it that's going to happen? You're going to go, well, shit, I failed. I suck. What's the point? I always end up losing, or I always end up just failing with any diet or any exercise regime I ever do, so I'm going to throw it in.